What up, this is Rama Screen covering movies, TV, and entertainment, and here's my review of Netflix's new movie, In the Tall Grass. Hey, before you watch this review, please subscribe to my channel, press that like button, and ring that bell so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. And if you would like to help support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. That's patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Netflix for granting me the screener to this new film. Now, as you know, there had been several Stephen King adaptations that were made by and for Netflix. For example, 1922 starring Thomas Jane a few years back, and of course, Gerald's Game starring one of my favorite actresses, Carla Gugino. And now this, In the Tall Grass. And I gotta be honest with you, they are all starting to have a predictable pattern, which includes an unnecessary overextended plot, one obvious madman character, and a mystery that is more spooky than scary. Now that said, In the Tall Grass is actually visually stunning, and much of that credit most likely goes to director Vincenzo Natali, who manages to make those tall blades of grass seem way more menacing than the maze in The Shining. Based on the novella by Stephen King and his son Joe Hill, directed by Vincenzo Natali, very pregnant Becky and her brother Cal are on their way to another town when suddenly they hear the cries of a young boy lost within a field of tall grass. They go in to rescue the boy, but find themselves completely lost when a sinister force separates them within that place. Unable to escape and cut out from the world, they then also encounter several other characters that may have ulterior motives. Turns out, the only thing that they need to fear more than the tall grass is each other. I really enjoyed the visuals that this movie has. Not just the tall grass and how they look like they're out to get you, but there's also the transition to the blood red. And you know how it is with Stephen King adaptations. You gotta have an imagery of a flood of blood somewhere in there. And in this case, it spreads across the sky as the characters touch the source of evil in that place. I've never read the short story for this one, but those of you who have might be able to tell whether or not this film is accurate to the material. But In the Tall Grass, in my opinion, does a pretty clever job of making the audiences and the characters feel suffocated. Because it's like not being able to find your car in a crowded parking structure. It's the most soul-sucking feeling of them all. Now, is In the Tall Grass scary? Is it horrifying? Is this film terrifying? Nah, I don't think so. Stephen King had come up with scarier stories in the past. But like I said earlier, In the Tall Grass is more spooky. Even the reveal to the mystery at hand is ambiguous. You never know what you might find in that place where the laws of time and space and physics don't apply. They're all twisted. But seriously though, the story also has a bit of puzzle element to it as well. Halfway through, you're gonna be compelled to want to make a connection and try to figure out maybe if this timeline meets that timeline, and if the characters go through or enter through this door one more time for a second trial, or maybe if the choices are different than the other ones, then that would lead them to the exit somehow. I'm not too crazy about solving puzzles, but if that's your thing, then that is the element about In the Tall Grass that you might find intriguing. Again, this is a very Stephen King movie. And if you've seen a lot of Stephen King adaptations, then the idea of Patrick Wilson ending up as a Jack Torrance-esque persona should not surprise you. The story could be condensed a bit. It doesn't have to run as long as it does. But overall, In the Tall Grass is probably the most decent one out of all the Stephen King adaptations that Netflix has given you thus far.